What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your man Chazz Ellis once again. I'm gonna talk about a few things on this live stream as people get on. But hey, hit that like button before I keep going on. Hey, hit the like button. I want everybody to make sure you like the live stream, show some support, show some love. You feel me? Make sure y'all do that as I go forward. Hit that like button over and over again. I ain't seeing nobody hit it. Hit that like button. Yeah, I'm going to talk about some different things that's going on in the world today. Some stuff that people talk about. I got a lot of things that people been hitting me up in my inbox with, hit me up in the comment sections and things like that. And I talk to men and women, even though this is on the guys channel. I talk to all kinds of people. I don't care who hears it. I don't care who knows about it. I'm gonna tell the straight up truth, no matter what. One of the things I want to talk to about is this OnlyFans thing. A lot of people have really been dealing with the OnlyFans, and guys have been talking about, well, what do I do if my girl tries to get an OnlyFans? And I've heard a lot of guys say different things. A lot of guys are like, yo, man, you can never let your girl get an OnlyFans, bro. How you gonna let your girl get an OnlyFans? Man, if my girl told me she wanted OnlyFans, I would go off on her and blah, blah, blah. If your girl wants an OnlyFans, there's two things you could do. You could dump her or let her just go ahead and get the OnlyFans. Because at the end of the day, just because you tell her she can't have OnlyFans doesn't mean she's not an OnlyFans type of chick. Bruh, you got with an OnlyFans chick. It doesn't matter if she's doing OnlyFans or not doing OnlyFans. It doesn't matter if you got her up in the church choir singing and, this little light of mine and all that. It doesn't matter, bro. She wants to be doing OnlyFans. That's what she wants out of life. That's what she desires, boy. That's what she wants. So if you try to stop her from doing it, it's not really going to make a difference. Maybe while y'all relationship is going really good and all that, she might not do the OnlyFans thing. But as soon as y'all relationship takes a downturn, as soon as something happens to where you're not providing for her exactly the way she wants, she gonna be out there, shaking it on OnlyFans, bro. That's what she's about. So you might as well benefit off of it. That's the way I look at it. Even if you say, hey, I'm gonna be looking for somebody else, you might as well benefit off her being on OnlyFans. I mean, if these dudes want to give her $1,000 to look at her feet, and she's wanting to do that anyway because that's what she's about. That's what you got in a relationship with, bro. That's the girl you got with. You might as well say, hey, you kick me $500 on that OnlyFans. Hey, I'm a part of this too. You know what I mean? I'm a part of this family. What's up? What's up? I see some of y'all getting on here. I don't think you can stop somebody. This is what men and women do this when they get in relationships. You take a person that acts a certain way. You take a person that's got a certain type of personality traits. You get a person that just lives their life a certain way. And then you want to try to change them. You want to try to turn them into what you want them to be. So I see women do it too, where they get a dude, he in the streets, he thugging, he's robbing people. And next thing you know, they want to be like, oh, well, you need to go to church with me. That's not what he's about. Even if he goes to church with you for a little while, 99 times out of 100, as soon as times get hard, as soon as something happens, because he didn't change himself, you just try to make him change, he's going to go right back to being in them streets. He's going to go right back to robbing your neighbors. Now you done moved him out to the suburbs and he's breaking in our cars and robbing us. Because you try to change somebody. That's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. If you're going to be with somebody, you got to understand the core person that they are and understand what they want to do. I know we talk about men being leaders in relationships and leaders in families and stuff like that. But you got to get with somebody that's on board with the program that you have. You got to get with somebody that's on board with your program. And on board with what you want to do and what you don't want to do. If they're not on board with it, then it is what it is. They gotta do their own thing. So that's my thing. When people talk about the OnlyFans, like, oh man, my girl got an OnlyFans. She tried to say she was gonna get an OnlyFans. I'm dumping her because of that. I'm leaving her. I'm letting it. I'm getting her out of this relationship. It's like, if that's what you want to do, cool. Some people be like, well, I'm gonna tell her not to do it. She's not doing OnlyFans. She ain't gonna be my girl. My girl not doing OnlyFans. It's like, bro, your girl fucks with OnlyFans, bro. That's what your girl like to do. If your girl likes to strip, if your girl likes to do lap dances, that's what your girl does, bro. That's what she's about. You know, you can either like it or not like it. You can move on or you gotta accept it. You're not gonna change somebody into what you want them to be. That's not really gonna work. That's not realistic. If you with somebody and they like whatever it is they like, whether it's selling dope, whether it's OnlyFans, whether it's working at a shoe store, whatever it is that they like to do, a person is going to be themselves. Appreciate you, Jeanette. Yo, y'all, you see somebody supporting the, I was about to say OnlyFans. You see somebody supporting the super chat. Man, y'all go ahead and support it too, man. Keep it going. That makes me stay on longer. Because if you're not supporting, you're not showing love, I'm about, I'm gonna do the stuff that I got pre-ordered, and then I'm rolling. All right, some other stuff that people have been talking to me about, asking me questions about. Is Kevin Samuels too harsh? That's a question that I've been getting quite a bit because I talk to both men and women. I got channels where I work with both. I get, is Kevin Samuels too harsh? The answer that I have to that is Kevin Samuels is a representation of no excuses culture. And a lot of times we see no excuses culture pointed at men. And I'll give you an example. So you got a guy who can't support his family financially. People hit him with the no excuses. Get a job, do better, get a better job. No excuses culture. A dude is behind on his child support. You're a deadbeat. Go to jail. You know what I mean? No excuses culture. You got a guy who just can't live up to whatever expectations that women might have of him. And you get a lot of no excuses culture. Oh, well, that's your fault. Oh, well, you need to do this. Oh, well, you should do that. Oh, well, you're just not a good man. You're not desirable. No excuses culture. Now, what you see from Kevin Samuels is an example of no excuses culture being pointed at women. And anytime you have no excuses culture pointed at you, it's always going to hurt whether you're a man or a woman. If you get no excuses culture pointed at you, no matter who you are, it's going to hurt because you have a whole list of reasons for how you ended up wherever you are and the choices that you made. When somebody puts down your choices and says, we don't necessarily agree with them, and not only that, they make you not as valuable on the dating market, and I don't want to hear excuses regarding your choices, well, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. So when Kevin Samuels says, you're built like a linebacker, when he says, you got 2 kids and you got 2 baby daddies, so that makes you not even someone that a high value man would want to date. When you hear something like that, obviously it's going to hurt your feelings because you're like, wait a minute, I'm already in this boat. There's a situation I'm already in. Where do I go from here? But that's no excuses culture. That's no quarter culture. No forgiveness culture. Men constantly get hit with that no forgiveness, no quarter. You did something once upon a time, so that's all you are, and you can't get past it. They get hit with that type of culture on a regular basis by society as a whole. Of course, women used to get hit with that culture before, and women fought to get it kind of turned around, but then they pointed it at men. Now you get a lot of women getting hit with some of the same stuff from these guys on the internet and people who have a platform. And, they're like, oh, it's too harsh. The information is too harsh. Well, of course it's going to seem too harsh because it doesn't give you an opportunity to explain the full story. Because it doesn't care about the full story. No excuses culture does not care about the full story. No excuses culture doesn't care about whatever you're going to say happened between you and your baby daddy. No excuses culture doesn't care about what you're going to say about gaining weight. No excuses culture doesn't care what you're going to say about getting to a certain age without getting married. No excuses culture just doesn't care. Just like culture doesn't care about a guy's reasoning for not being able to get a good job. No excuses culture doesn't care about a guy's reasoning for not being taller than his woman. No excuses culture doesn't care about anybody's problems or issues. It doesn't care how you got to where you are. It simply talks about where you are and in your current state. So when people say Kevin Samuels is too harsh, the no excuses culture is harsh. That's the reality of it. No excuses culture is harsh. And if you like no excuses culture or you never said anything about it, because of course everyone's going to be like, oh, well, I'm not like that and I don't think like that. But yeah, what level or what energy did you put in trying to fight against no excuses culture when it was pointed at someone else? If you didn't put any effort into trying to stop it, then you got to accept the fact that now it's being pointed at you. So I don't think it's harsh. I mean, it's just the way it is. Or too harsh. I mean, it's just the way the culture is. If you subscribe to that type of feeling about someone else, then you got to expect it to come back at you. So that's what I feel about that. And I feel like him doing that is really just showing people, hey, this is what it feels like to be in a situation where people are not going to take your entire situation into account. If you don't like it, what do you want me to say? What's up? I see some of y'all in here. Hey, man, hit that super chat. Make sure y'all hit that super chat. Get a sticker. Ask a question. I'm going to start doing questions from the super chat. So make sure y'all get in there. It's going to put you at the top. So don't get mad if I don't answer your questions or I don't get to them when you try to, come in at the last minute or whatever and be like, oh, man, Chazz, I had this question for you. I had that question for you. Hey, support the chat. You feel me? Let me see. What else do I got on here? These are things that people ask me on a regular basis. I'm trying to... pretty privilege. This is something that a lot of men talk about, and women are starting to get on this too. Pretty privilege. What's up with the pretty privilege? Basically, pretty privilege isn't even just for women. Pretty privilege is for anybody who is more attractive than the average person. It's not just for women. It's going to be for anyone who's more attractive than the average person, because physical attractiveness is just something that people care about. And we could call it immature and all that, but the reality is people want to give their kids an easier life. So people try to get somebody with the best set of genetics to make their kid's life easier. Obviously, when your kid looks like Beyonce, or your kid looks like Brad Pitt, or your kid looks like Idris Elba, or your kid looks like Gabrielle Union, or somebody like that, if your kid looks like these types of people, then some aspects of their life is going to be easier, are going to be easier. Some aspects of their life are going to be a little bit easier than a person who, just isn't that good looking, or somebody who's just, because then you got to work for a lot of stuff that somebody else might get a lot easier. So yeah, of course people are going to give pretty privilege because people want to be around the most attractive people so they can have an opportunity to duplicate that person's genes. That's not immature. That's just survival tactics. Obviously, if you're on the other end of pretty privilege and you're not getting any of it, then of course it's going to seem immature. Of course it's going to seem unfair, because anything you don't get in life, you're going to feel is unfair. That's just the way things go. Obviously, you're going to feel it's unfair when you or people that you care about aren't getting it. That's normal. The thing about pretty privilege, though, is you can get a lot more of it if you make certain moves to improve your own situation. Just because maybe you weren't born with what you think is a pretty look or a top level look, just because you weren't born with what you think puts you there, doesn't mean you can't work on yourself and really maximize where you are and what you do have. For guys, just like, oh man, well, I'm not over 6 feet, so I guess I should just give up. I can't get any of this pretty privilege. Bruh, you could go to the freaking gym and work out And you don't have to be 6'5" because the average girl is only 5'4". So if you're a little taller than she is and you look good, in most cases, she's gonna still like you. Yeah, you got some outliers and you got some chicks that's gonna have the loudest voice who probably got picked on in high school because they were taller than all the guys. Now they got an internet presence or something like that, and they could get there and they could sit there and tell guys, oh man, we don't like you if you're this tall. But if that's the case, explain this to me. Explain Little Bow Wow. Explain Zac Efron. Explain Michael B. Jordan. I know his IMDb is listed at 6 feet tall now, but I've actually been around the dude before. He's not 6 feet tall. I'm not here to hate, but I'm just saying it's a bunch of celebrities that are not that tall. But yet, if Usher or one of these guys come in the room, women are going to be all over him. Explain that. Explain how any NFL running back could walk in the room and there could be 55 guys who are 6'7" and above, whatever the hell you want to say. And those women are going to pick those NFL running backs. Let's take away the money and just make them college running backs. If you've ever been in college before and you didn't go to like a really sucky college or something like that, obviously women are going to be with guys that play football, play those positions. So that's just the way it is. So that's just the way it is, man. But it's what you do with it. If you want pretty privilege, pretty yourself up. What part of the game is that to sit around and complain? What part of the game is that to sit around and complain? I'm gonna start hitting these super chats. I'm seeing you guys in here. Line some of your questions up. I'm gonna start hitting them in just a few minutes. I want to talk about also before I get on to your question. I want to talk about hypergamy and the rise of hookup culture. This is something that people were asking me about when I talked about on my last stream. So here's the thing about a lot of guys. But for some of you ladies, that I'm gonna try to explain hypergamy to you if you don't really know. It's basically this theory of women's need, want, desire to consolidate on the man with the highest value, basically. Okay, we just constantly trying to get the best man, always trying to upgrade. That's basically the most simple way to put that. I'm gonna try the most simple way to put it. So now, a lot of women complain about hookup culture, and a lot of guys are like, "Hey, I need a girl to give me the draws because I'm not trying to end up in the friend zone." So this is a clash. This is where you see men and women constantly fighting with each other over this hookup culture and how much women hate it. Then you see men talking about, "Hey, I'm not trying to end up in the friend zone. I'm not trying to get used and abused by women. So I need to smash as early as possible." You guys get what I'm saying? So how does this work? Well, this is where hypergamy comes in. What often happens with women is, let's keep it real. We're going to keep it real in this chat. What often happens with women is this. You'll get with a dude, and if the dude's level is super duper high, ridiculously high, like say it was a ball player and he was making some M's. Say it's a superstar. We're not saying you women in the chat because we're not gonna try to single anybody out. We're just saying in general, if you wouldn't do it, you know somebody who would. Most times, what happens is when somebody's operating at this ridiculously high level, women will often let that dude smash as quick as possible because they don't want to lose the opportunity to talk to him again. They don't want to lose the opportunity to see the guy or date the guy. And some women, let's be real, some women want to have a baby by the dude. They like, if I could get a baby by one of these ball players, that would be the move, right? So because of that, what you see from a lot of these ladies is letting the dude that they like the absolute most smash the absolute quickest. So the dude that they feel has the greatest amount of value, they letting him smash day one. So what does this tell a lot of guys? It tells guys that if you're not smashing quick, you're headed for the friend zone because you are not attractive to that woman. That woman is not feeling you on a physical level. She doesn't find you to be attractive. She doesn't like you like that. That's why you can't hit. This is where the hookup culture comes in. Because a guy is telling himself, and he's hearing this from person after person after person, if the girl found you attractive, she would let you hit. If she didn't find you attractive, or she looks at you as being some kind of a beta male provider, basically a dude is not really all that, but she'll deal with you because she couldn't get the guy she really wanted, then she makes you wait. This is where the cultures collide. This is where men and women bump heads, because men have constantly seen the most high value guys smash multiple women immediately. Then those same women turn around and tell guys, hey, you gotta wait, or hey, I'm making you wait 90 days. So now it creates a hookup culture where guys who have any real value are like, nah, I'm smashing early on. And if not, middle finger, index finger follow. So that's kind of where a lot of women are upset about the hookup culture, but in some ways you've helped to create it. Okay, let's see. Brand Nicole, what we got here? I don't know if I benefited from pretty privilege, but I got out of a couple of speeding tickets, but I also been treated with attitudes too. Well, that's a good question. So let's look at the double-edged sword of pretty privilege. There is a privilege, and just like with everything else, there is a downside. I don't care what you're talking about in life. There's going to always be an upside and a downside. I guess some stuff doesn't have much of an upside, but even when you look at things that have a great upside, like, hey, being pretty, you might be able to get out of a speeding ticket, but you might also get an attitude from people. You might also have people just not take you seriously and see you as being sincere. You might have people assume certain things about you because of what you look like. You may have people look at you and say, well, if you're attractive, why don't you already have somebody? And since you don't have somebody, I'm going to fill in the blanks for all the things about you that are probably wrong with you. Well, if everyone does this, if everyone feels this way about you, how do you ever get a chance? That is the downside of pretty privilege. Pretty privilege may get you in the club. Pretty privilege may get you in the VIP. But it also gets you attitudes. It also gets you people who may or may not take you seriously. It also gets you people who may feel like you wouldn't even talk to them. So there is a negative, and people often don't talk about the negative. Because, people, there's a guy that he does like the Fresh and Fit podcast. I think his name is Myron. If I'm getting his name wrong, I mess up names. Sorry. But he says, he always says privilege is invisible to people who have it. Well, the downside of privilege is also invisible to those who don't have it. So if you don't have any type of privilege, or you don't feel like you have a certain type of privilege, then the downside is going to be invisible to you. You're going to be like, well, dang, if you're good looking, the world has been handed to you. But you probably wouldn't know that a good looking person, especially when they're really, really good looking, is often seen as being arrogant, is often seen as being somebody who's trying to use, or somebody who's trying to get over. This is the downside. It's kind of like, it could even be race, when you deal with race. Yeah, okay, here's the upside of, we'll talk about, we'll go into it. We'll talk about white privilege. Here's the upside of being white. It assumes, the thing about when we think about privilege, a lot of times it assumes the top, and it also assumes that there's no bottom or no middle. So when you look at somebody, you say, yo, they have white privilege. You're thinking about the people who have more money. You're thinking about the people who have good jobs. You're thinking about people who live in nice neighborhoods. When you think white privilege, you don't often think trailer park. You know, when you think about all like the angst of being a black person and all the struggles, you don't think suburbs. You don't think $1 million homes. You don't think things of that nature. So when you deal with these kind of things, when you don't think about these kind of things, a lot of times you don't really look at someone else's life and think, wait a minute, maybe their life is no better than mine. This is kind of an issue when you think about pretty privilege. Yeah, you got in the club and you got drinks first and things of that nature. But what you may not have thought about is how often that person doesn't get taken seriously. What you never thought about is how often people of the same sex hate on this person. Didn't think about that, you know, because maybe that's not your life. You're like, well, I would rather have your life than mine. That's how most people look at people's lives in general. You know, I'd rather have your life than mine. All right, I've been on here for a little minute now. Let's get the likes up. Let's get them way up for me to keep going. Let's get the likes way up and hit these super chats. Y'all got to start supporting the chat for me to stay up on here. If y'all want to keep hearing it, if y'all want me to keep going, doing questions and stuff like that, don't just let a couple people support the chat. Everybody got to support it. Come on now. Hit them likes. Get on the super chat. Hit me with a sticker. You know, be a part of the solution. Okay, before I get to some of these questions, I want to talk about some of the different things that men are hearing. I want to talk about some of the things that men are hearing and some of the things that men get. And some of the things that men are hearing. This is one of the things that men have to understand. A lot of y'all fellas that are on here and fellas that are listening right now. What I'm hearing a lot of is men hearing this thing about, yo, don't get a woman right now. You know, stay on your purpose. Look, I get it. Try to get on your purpose. Try to get your life together. Sure. I'm totally with that. But this sounds a lot like the advice that women got in the 80s. Which turned out to be really terrible advice. Thanks, Cosmo. This turned out to be some of the worst advice that women got in the 70s and 80s. What happened was a bunch of women who couldn't get a man but got popping and got on TV and got on different types of platforms told other women that having a man and having a family wasn't valuable. And your career was just the thing to focus on. Don't worry about getting a man. Don't worry about having a family. Don't worry about any of that. Just focus on your career. Focus on getting money. It's crazy because now I'm seeing where men are being told the same exact thing. And the thing about it is, it sounds good because it's basically telling you to double down on something you're probably already good at. Hey, I'm already good at my career. I'm already good at going to work every day. I'm already good at studying and getting my degrees. This is what I'm already good at. So I'm going to double down on that and not develop any of the other things that I'm struggling with. So yeah, I'm 20 years old and I'm going to stop dating until I'm 35 years old and I got a bank account full of money and I got everything else that I want out of life. This is what I'm going to do. And there's plenty of people who give out this same type of advice. It's not just even one person. And there's nothing wrong with getting yourself together and getting yourself in order. But the problem that you start running into is that you don't really solve the core problem. This is what happened to a lot of women. So now you got a lot of women who are in their late 30s, early 40s, who have spent all their time focusing on their careers, all of their time really just building up what they were already good at. Now they look up and they're like, wait a minute, I can see my future a little bit better. Because when you're in your 20s, it's very difficult to see your future. It's very difficult to think of what you're going to be like at 65 when you're 25. It's very difficult. But when you start getting to be 45, it starts to be a lot easier to look up and go, wait a minute. Even at 35, it starts to be a lot easier to look up and go, wait a minute. I'm going to be 75 one day. This is real. And now what? Yeah, you're saving your money because you don't have kids. Yeah, you might even be traveling and all that because you don't have kids. And it sounds really cool to not have kids and not have family and not have anything holding you down. It seems great. But once you get to a certain age where the beach party is over and now you're relying on family, you're relying on the fact that you've built these bonds, because now you're 75 and you can't really be up in the club. You probably don't want to be the 75-year-old in the club with a walker or a cane or something like that. You probably don't want to be that person. But now you put yourself in a position where you don't really have anything else to lean back on. You don't have anything else to do other than really just to try to double down on your career, which is probably over by now. So this is what people have taught you from back in the day, but they don't tell you what it leaves you with. Arson Games? Thanks, man. Appreciate you. People don't tell you what it leaves you with. Basically, now you've become a corporate slave. And this is all you have is to lean into your job and give them the best years of your life. All you have is to push forward on your job and get that promotion. Because if you don't get that, it's like, well, what else do I have? And I'm seeing men being told the same thing, and men are trying to do the same thing. Here's what I'm good at. I'm going to lean into that. I'm not going to work on my interpersonal skills. I'm not going to work on how I manage relationships. Well, women are dream killers. If you still feel like your woman is a dream killer, that means that you are struggling to manage your relationships. If you get with a woman and you stop doing all the things that you were doing, then that's probably where you are right now. You're probably only focusing on your goals because you just got dumped by somebody, or the chick that you liked decided not to like you, decided to get with one of your homeboys or something like that, or decided to get with some dude that had his shirt off on the beach. Now you want to double down on your goals and on your dreams and your aspirations as a shelter to hide in. This is what a lot of women learned back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, mostly in the 70s and 80s. This is what a lot of women learned from a lot of other women who couldn't keep a man. I can't hold down a man, so let me tell you how smart it is to sit up there and just avoid your problems in corporate America. Yo, go get a job. Go get a business. Get a Benz. That's going to change everything. Now, all of a sudden, men are going to love you because you got a Benz. Men are going to love you because you got money in your pocket. But what they didn't tell women is you don't want the type of man that's going to want you because you got money in your pocket. You don't want the type of man that's going to want you because you got a big house. You don't want the type of man that's going to want you because you have a 401k. You don't want this type of dude. You want a guy who's got his own money. You want a guy who's going to be able to support you. And unfortunately, even if you don't need the support, you don't want a guy who's going to sit there and be ready to mooch off of you. Nobody told these women that. Nobody told them that. So you got a lot of women who have wasted a lot of their years and wasted a lot of their youth being a slave to corporate America. You got a lot of men who are going to do the exact same thing. They just don't know it. What a lot of y'all have been taught is, yeah, man, just get on your grind. Just get on your grind. Don't worry about your relationships. Don't worry about building your ability to have good relationships, because that's not going to matter once you get all this money. Once you become a multi-millionaire, women are just going to fall in your lap. Newsflash, when you become, most of you won't become a multi-millionaire. No disrespect to anybody. That's just the numbers. Most of you won't become a multi-millionaire. But even if you did, if you haven't developed the interpersonal skills, if you haven't developed the relationship skills that it takes to maintain any type of real relationship with a woman, even when you get $1 million, all you're going to be doing is competing with other people with $1 million. So what you think you're going to do? You're going to get $1 million and go date the girl that you could have got when you were working at McDonald's? You're not going to do that. You're going to try to get girls that are operating in that upper echelon. You're going to try to get girls that you can get based on the fact that you're doing better financially, which means that you're going to be competing with people who are doing just the same thing that you're doing, or maybe a little bit less or a little bit more. But a lot of them are going to be cooler than you. A lot of them are going to be better looking. A lot of them are going to be people who actually were dating along the way, and now they have game and they have an understanding of how to manage relationships, and you don't. It's nothing that you ever going to do in life that's just going to completely take you out of competition. This is what a lot of women learned in the 70s and 80s, and they're finding out as time goes on that ain't it. That ain't it. You know, oh man, if you get a man, if you get some money in your pocket, if you get rich and all that, you won't need a man. But then they found out that nobody was really going to be Oprah. This is what happened. They looked up and they found out, man, you know what? I'm not Oprah. That was cool for her maybe. But I'm actually just working 60 hours a week trying to maintain this big ass house that I live in all by myself. I got 4 degrees. Sounds cool. Looks great on my wall. But I don't have the interpersonal skills to be able to maintain a relationship with an actual man. I don't have the ability to do that. Now I'm 40, 45 years old. I don't have any kids. That means I'm never going to have any grandkids. Some people even listen to their moms. And, you know, a lot of times your mom wasn't able to maintain a relationship with a man. So what she told you was, you don't need a man. Double down on your career, getting your money right and all that kind of stuff, because that's what you need. But now you look at your mom, and your mom 45, 50, 60 years old, whatever her age is now. Think about how much time your mother spends bothering you, really. Think about how much time she spends all up in your business. And you didn't even have a kid. So her main focus in life is you. You don't even have that. I'm just keeping it real. I'm going to go into that, Lulu, about how to improve interpersonal skills. So I'm just keeping it real with you. A lot of y'all made a mistake there, and we got to work on that. Okay, let's see. We're going to do a question. I agree, Chazz. I'm in this situation at 31. I'm ready to settle down. I get turned off with guys my age who don't have it together. Yeah. This is something that you're going to run into quite a bit because you're 31 years old. You put a lot of time, and women do actually mature faster than men. If you want to call it maturity, if you want to call it the society is kind of built around what women value, whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, you take whatever words you want to. But what often happens is women will get it together quicker than men will. But here's the problem you run into. They tricked you, in a lot of cases, into putting all of your time and energy into working in corporate America, getting your stuff together, as they say. And now you got your money, you got all your stuff together, you're good, but you don't have anybody to build with. You see what I'm saying? You don't have anyone to build with. You don't have your situation together to where it's going to work out the way you want it to. You feel what I'm saying? Now you're in a situation where you got money, but you don't really want to put that into your relationship. You're not sitting over here like, yeah, man, I got my money right. I got my nice car. I got all this stuff. Yeah, I want to buy a car for my man. So what were your parents teaching you? They told you to double down on education. They told you to double down on financial responsibility. They told you to double down on working 60 hours a week. That's what mommy and daddy told you a lot, especially for a lot of the young girls, man. Mommy and daddy told you, man, it's all about business. It's all about getting your stuff together. You don't never want to need a man and all that kind of crap. This is what they told you. Now you look up and you don't feel like you are even compatible with people your own age. And a lot of times that ideology is going to cause you to waste 5, 6, 7, 8 more years. Because you're like, okay, I got it together. I don't want to deal with somebody who's still working towards it. So then you end up wasting 5, 6, 7, 8 more years. Because a lot of y'all have also been taught not to date guys that are older than you. You know what I mean? So then you start wasting so much time, you end up 40, 45 years old. Now you can't have children anymore. So this is what I say. If you're in that situation that you're in, where you're 31 years old, you feel like, hey, I got my stuff together, either date older or be willing to build with somebody who may need to build, who doesn't necessarily have it together yet. You know what I'm saying? You got to be willing to do that, because worst case scenario, and this is what a lot of people are doing. I know it sounds gloom and doom. I hear people, saying that, but it's like, I'm keeping it real with you. Society wants to create more and more people who are corporate slaves. That's the whole point. If you split up the people, then now you got more people entering the workforce. If you got more people entering the workforce, you can pay everybody less money. Supply and demand. The more people who are sitting there putting all their time and energy into getting money, the more people are put in a situation where they okay, I see what you say. Society has shifted. Men have become more domestic and women are more the provider. That's not actually true. There's no statistics to show that. That's not actually true. There's a lot of stuff that we take as anecdotal evidence. Like, hey, maybe you were dating somebody who, and people you've dated have been in that situation. But in reality, even if you talk about a racial situation, that's not actually true. That's not true at all. What I want to talk about also, I want to talk about this. For some of the guys out here who are dads, since we got on this subject, I want to talk about what some of you fathers are doing to your daughters. And I do this for a living. I talk to women all the time. I work with men too. I work with a bunch of men, but I also work with a bunch of women. So therefore I have a good sample size of each group and what their problems are and what they're going through. For some of you guys out there who are young fathers, stop teaching your daughter this princess culture. All right, stop it. I see a lot of you guys, you do this for Facebook, you do this for the internet. Oh, I'm going to spoil my daughter. I'm going to make sure that my daughter's not impressed with any of the stuff that these guys do. You're not doing anything for your daughter. Some of the women who are on here may not even recognize this or may not even know that this is an issue that they're having. But a lot of you fellas, you already know what would make a man attracted to your daughter. You already know what will put her in the best position to get the type of man that she wants. But you don't teach her that. What you do instead is you teach her this spoil me culture. Oh, spoil me. Oh, here's all the stuff I'm supposed to get out of a relationship without putting anything into it. And then you wonder why your daughter can't find anybody when she's 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 years old. And then as she gets older, she's on love after lockup. Because now she's giving up hope. Because you haven't trained her, you haven't taught her and told her, hey, this is what men actually want from you. Hey, here's some of the domestic stuff that you need to learn how to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of you guys are teaching this culture to your daughter. Oh, men are supposed to work outside and do this and do that. Because I was talking to a lady the other day and she was like, yeah, I got tired of this guy because he couldn't fix the car and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, so what do you want, a blue collar guy? And she was like, no. You want people with blue collar skills, but you don't want people who are blue collar people. You got to pick one or the other. A guy who has the money to get his car fixed is probably not going to put a lot of energy into learning how to fix his car. And fellas, you know that. So why do you teach your daughter this type of stuff and say, hey, this is a blanket what a man is? And a lot of times it's outdated and it doesn't even apply to this culture in the world we currently live in. A guy can't even make money with those values. But yet, that's what you teach your kid. and you put them in a situation where they're probably not going to find anybody. Stop it. Stop it. Fellas, talk to your daughter about responsibility. Talk to your daughter about what she needs to do to be as valuable as she can be on the open market. Because otherwise, she's not going to get a chance to not be impressed with what these dudes are doing for her. Because they're not going to do anything for her. She's never going to be able to get that type of dude in the first place. Because you're not teaching her anything. You gotta teach her domestic skills. You have to teach her what conversational skills that guys care about. How to talk to a guy and make a connection with him. And a lot of times fathers have the key to that, but you don't give it to your daughter. You over here like, oh, what's up, princess? You know, you're my princess, and you need to be treated like a queen at all times. You need to be spoiled by a man. That's cool. That's cool. But teaching her to expect something, what does that mean? My daddy used to say all the time, why don't you expect in this hand and crap in this one and see which one fills up first? You know, the expectations mean nothing. The expectations mean absolutely nothing. She says, but sometimes sweet women can be vulnerable as a target, bad men. I think that's what's usually happening with women who can't find a good man. Well, you're wrong about that, actually. That's not true at all. It's not because you're sweet. It's because you lack other things that'll give you an opportunity to attract the guys you want. You're picking from one thing or another. That's the reality. You know, we're not gonna do these tropes and some of these things that are just excuses. Because I work with guys too, who I did have a video on that. We're not gonna work on some of these tropes that because they just hold you back. The reality is, if you were in a position where you are attracting a bunch of high-level men who were treating you the way you wanted to be treated, you would not pick the dude that would dog you out. If everybody you date is a narcissist, that means that you're dating people who are showing narcissistic tendencies and you're putting up with them past 1, 2, 3 days. If you had options, you wouldn't do that. It's not because you're nice. It's because you don't have parallel options. I talk to guys about this all the time. They're like, man, girls just screw over the nice guy. No, they don't. No, they don't. They screw over the guy who doesn't have options. You're only being nice because you don't have parallel options. You can say whatever you want to. You can disagree with me. But there's no way in the world that you will put up with somebody disrespecting you. You will put up with somebody using you. You will put up with somebody dogging you out if you had an abundance of parallel options. I refuse to believe that because it's not true. That's just a trope. That's just something that people say over and over again because it sounds cool. Oh, I don't want to teach my daughter to be nice because she'll get ran over by men. You sound stupid because you know good and well that's not what you do. You know good and well that's not what you do. You don't run over her mama. You probably over here worshiping the ground her mom walks on. Which is why you're doing that with her daughter. You know good and well that's not what you do. You may do that to somebody who isn't physically attractive. You may do that to somebody who has low self-esteem. That's not being nice. Low self-esteem and nice are not the same thing. Not feeling like you could do any better is not the same thing as being nice. You got to put it together. You got to get your life together. You got to give yourself parallel options. You got to put yourself in good, strong circles with people who have resources that you're looking for. If you don't do that, then what else are you going to do? What's up, Katina? Appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, let's keep it going, man. Let's keep it going. Keep the super chats going. Keep the stickers going. All right, let me go through here and start trying to hit some of these questions because we're like almost 50 minutes in. I said seconds. So what? Okay, I'm working through some of these. Okay, look, okay, we're gonna go back to the OnlyFans thing. Hey, I don't see a problem with OnlyFans. If that's what the person wants to do, it's not prostitution. I'm gonna do you one better. I don't see a problem with prostitution if that's what you want to do. Look, if that's what you want to do, I don't see a problem with that either. And I don't see a problem with OnlyFans because look, I'm gonna tell you why guys are so pissed off about OnlyFans. Fellas, I don't care what channel I'm on. I could be on the guy channel. I could be on the Ask Chazz Ellis. I could be on the entertainment channel. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm not here to pander to women. I'm not here to pander to men. Some of y'all people only think it's pandering whenever it's not in their favor. A lot of guys are pissed off at OnlyFans because you see a lot of women getting on OnlyFans and getting all kind of bread for showing their feet, twerking. Some of them just going all out with it. Oh, I'll give you that. But this is where a lot of guys are upset because they're like, why can't I get money for that? It goes back to that pretty privilege thing. Most guys couldn't get on OnlyFans and show their feet and get any money. Most guys, be having corns and stuff. My bad. Most guys be having corns and stuff. So they can't get on like OnlyFans and make no money off of that. So a lot of them are mad. I'm not talking about guys that don't want their girlfriend on OnlyFans. I'm not saying that because obviously, a lot of guys don't want their girl doing that. Duh. Just like a lot of women wouldn't want their dude stripping for some women or something like that. A lot of girls wouldn't want their dude doing that. I'm talking about guys who don't even have a girl on OnlyFans who are always putting it down. A lot of them are just mad because women are making money on it because they know good and well they'd be watching that mess. Why is it so hard for a guy to let go and not want you to see other people, but don't want to put in any effort? What do you do to suggest this, to break this? Well, why would a person want to let go of something? I mean, if it's something good and they're enjoying it, why would they want to let go? And people are going to put in the least amount of effort that they can get away with. This is men and women. A lot of guys ask me this question too, like, man, girl got me in the friend zone. She won't let me out. You want to be in that friend zone because you're holding out hope that things will get better. They're putting in the bare minimum because they feel like they could get away with it. I mean, they feel like they could get away with putting in the bare minimum. This is what people do. This is what human beings do. People don't want to lose something that they're enjoying. And they don't want, and everybody has this thing about fear of being left out. So if you start talking to some other dude, yeah, the guy you're with, and he may not be putting in the proper amount of effort that you would like. He's thinking if you start talking to some other dude, maybe y'all find a real good relationship or something like that, and I won't be able to come back whenever I want to. I'll be left out. This is where you get a lot of women who will have a dude in the friend zone, or they'll have a dude they get with from time to time, but it never becomes anything serious, but they never just be like, all right, I'm just going to move on completely and see you get with another girl. I've witnessed this on multiple occasions where a woman will have a dude in the friend zone for like 5 years. Then he'll get a girl and she'll start being like, I want to profess my love to you. Then this fool go break up with the girl and get back with her and just end up in the friend zone again. I'm just saying. Thanks, Lulu. Appreciate you. So the way you break this type of thing is to actually move on. Even if it's some kind of situation that's temporary. If somebody else comes along and they're treating you better, but maybe they're not necessarily, and I get it, sometimes they're not 100% on the level of that person, then I noticed the guy channel, y'all probably gonna get mad about this, but I keep it a buck. I keep it a buck. What you could do is if you find another dude that you kind of mess with a little bit that's cool or whatever, start talking to him. And a lot of times that'll get the guy you really want to act a little bit better, She said, prostitution, what about your health? Hey, I mean, everything in life is a risk. Eating fast food is bad for your health. Having sex with regular people that is bad for your health if it ain't right. You know what I'm saying? That's the real thing. I'm gonna keep it a buck. You know, that's the truth, man. Anything can be bad for your health. You know, use a condom. Get your life together. I don't know. You know. Yeah, it can be bad for your health, but anything can be bad for your health. People always say that about diseases and stuff like that. And I'm not saying you, but I see people like, yeah, man, you know, you mess with these people, you get these diseases. Then I see the same person eat a Big Mac. I'm like, you know, heart disease is real, bro. Heart disease is real, my dude. You're more likely to get that than you are to get any other disease. As far as like sexually transmitted, you're more likely to get diabetes. And they kill you just as bad. Magic is still alive. I know people that got diabetes after Magic got HIV and they are dead. I know some of them who are not dead, who are in way worse condition. I saw Magic on the deck of a boat lifting weights a little while ago. I'm not saying that, you know, go get HIV, but I'm just saying, like, come on. That brother, and it's not just him, it's a couple other people that's doing real good too. So I'm just saying. I ain't saying get it. I'm not saying hit raw. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, like, let's be real and start triaging what we think. If you look, when you start thinking about your health, don't be sitting over here talking about oh, I'm not going to sleep with nobody because I'm worried about getting diseases. But you out here eating fast food every day. You don't exercise. You don't take care of your body. I'm just saying. Do better, man. If you're going to do that, do better. What else we got? I see some of y'all giving them game over here. Like, yeah, hey, use the super chat. Hey, I appreciate people. You know, if you're using the super chat, that's great. And, you know, also people who just come on here on a regular basis and just support. And also, because I see some of y'all really just come on here and really support, you know, and I appreciate that. Hopefully, if I say something to you, I'm not going to hurt your feelings. Because it's never designed to do that. I know some of y'all show love and I may disagree with you sometimes or give you some different information. And it's never going to be a situation where I'm going to be here and just tell you what you want to hear. That's not going to help you. You know, honestly, that's not going to help you. That's why I don't do the whole pandering thing. And I don't bash anybody either. But I try to give you as much of the most honest, real information that I possibly can. Because ultimately, that's what you're going to need to grow and just to process it. Sometimes you might be doing all right, but you just need, you know, a different perspective. Let me see what else I got. I'm trying to do stuff that y'all asked me about on the last live, on the last Raw that I did. I try to hit as many of these as I possibly can. Oh, I want to do this thing about the wall. I want to do this thing about the wall for some of my fellas out here. A lot of y'all hit me up and like, yo, what about these girls hitting the wall? They gonna all hit the wall. I want to talk about this, man. You know, for some of y'all seem like y'all hype about women hitting the wall. Like, oh, they're gonna get to the point where they're gonna hit the wall and they're not gonna be able to get the men that they want anymore, and they're not gonna be able to get anyone. And bruh, if that's what you waiting on, if you over here praying on another person's downfall, and that's your hope, like, yeah, one day they're gonna come back to me when they got 4 kids and they're fat and ugly and old. If that's what you're waiting on, if that's what you really think about and you really care about, that's a problem, bro. That is a problem, bro. I'm just being real with you, man. That's a problem. You got to get yourself to the point where that's not what you're waiting on or hoping for or even thinking about. Think about, oh, when these chicks hit the wall. What does that have to do with you? Because I'm going to be real with you. A lot of these women are not really actually going to hit a wall when they get older. A lot of them are going to take good care of themselves. Some of them are going to be just like men and start developing game as time goes on, and they're going to have more success as they get older. I mean, yeah, a lot of them won't. I'm going to give you that. A lot of them won't. But some of them will. And as they get older, they'll actually have even more success. Okay, Chazz, I would like your advice on how to manage my emotions. You said cool. However, I got into an argument with my son's father today because he said I'm not a priority to him. Well, you guys are still together, right? I don't know what made the dude say you're not a priority to him. There's always a lot to a story. This is why if you're going to have a conversation with somebody, especially somebody that you have a kid with, and I want women to listen to this because it's very important. When you have a child with somebody, that's a lifetime commitment, especially for you. We have shame culture that tries to make it seem like you could take a man's kid away from him and you just really devastated him. But if he never built a relationship with you and never built a relationship with that kid, it isn't going to matter anyway. I mean, yeah, he might be sad or whatever because of shame culture. But the reality of life is a man can get 10, well, I guess technically he can get 1,000 women pregnant in one day. All right, it's going to take you 40 weeks to have a baby. Now, yeah, you might have 5 babies at one time, but that's an outlier. Obviously, you're probably not going to be able to do that. So you got to think about this whenever you're dealing with somebody that you have a child with, especially if you guys are in a relationship. Somebody said Nick Keddy. Oh, no, Nick, I didn't do that, Nick. I didn't do that. No judgment here. You probably got the money. You can support them kids. I know you got the money. Let me borrow a little something. Anyway, the thing is, when you're with somebody and you have a child with that person, you need to understand the fact that this is a lifetime commitment, especially for you. And it's always going to be very difficult to get the next person to feel the same way about you when you're raising another dude's kid. I'm just being 100% real. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm not saying you can't find anybody else. I'm not saying any of that. But I'm saying a lot of times the best chance you have for your situation working out is with the dude that you actually had a kid by. You get what I'm saying? A lot of times that's the best chance for your situation to work out. So when things like this happen, like he just said, hey, you're not a priority. This is when you actually want to have a real conversation with the dude and go, where are we here that I'm not a priority? Do you think I'm not making you a priority? And that's why you're saying that? If you guys are still together, these are questions that you really want to ask. Dude got 7 kids now? Damn, I didn't know that. These are questions that you really want to ask. Like, are you feeling that way because you don't feel like I'm making you a priority? How did we get here? And this is where you kind of want to start having conversations, and a lot of times it's gonna be easier for you to control your emotions when you really just try to think your way through it. Like, okay, the words hurt. Damn, I'm not a priority. Take a step back from those words and then try to say, well, how did we get here? If that's true, sometimes people just say stuff to hurt you, but if that's true, how did we get here? And what can we do to build on and salvage this situation? Because what people will often do is say, take your ball and go home. But you got kids with the person. And having that type of mentality normally just leads to you having that same situation happen over and over again till you got more kids, in some cases more baby daddies, and you're trying to just build on those relationships that keep getting thrown away. Oh, what's up, Cosmo? Should sexting before a meetup turn into, what's SWB? Maybe I'll be able to find it. No nudes, but I'm just saying, we have good conversation, but sexting comes up. Hey, could you hit me with, hey, who knows what SWB is? I'm trying. That's what I haven't heard before. SWB. Sex with benefits? Texting? No? I'm looking for it. I'm looking for somebody to hit me in the chat. SWB. Or were you looking for, were you saying friends with benefits? Were you saying FWB and there's a typo? Or am I just getting it totally wrong? Okay, because I be messing up. If it's friends with benefits, I'll say this about yeah, that's what I was looking for. Oh, I just made up. Okay, sexting with benefits. I like people who do that. I like when somebody just make up like their own little acronyms and stuff like that. I feel like that's dope. Okay, and don't get mad if I use that myself on one of these videos because I do that. Okay, so the thing about it is withholding something doesn't necessarily make a person like you more or make the relationship any better. I'm being serious with y'all. I'm gonna talk about that more. I'm glad you brought that up. Withholding something doesn't make somebody like you more. So if you're saying, well, we getting into sexting, we having dope ass, you said you're having dope ass conversation. Lean into the dope ass conversation. If you are enjoying the sexting also, and it's making you have a good time, then do it. It's not what people constantly talk about, and I want to talk about this because guys do this too. Guys that go, man, you start taking girl out on nice dates and stuff like that, she'll start using you to go out on nice dates. That's not how it works, bro. If you have sex with a guy, he's not dumping you. Every once in a while, you might see a guy do that, but for the most part, no. A dude is not going to dump you because you're sexting him. It's not going to turn into friends with benefits because you're sexting him. It's not going to turn into some kind of bad situation because the dude hit or whatever. Most of the time, it's because you don't build anything else around the relationship. You don't build any great value. If you're talking to the dude, y'all having dope ass conversations, then y'all are making an emotional connection. That's what it is. So if y'all are making an emotional connection and y'all are in a good position with one another, where y'all are having fun and y'all are talking about more than just sex, and y'all are starting to connect with each other, y'all starting to do stuff together, it's not going to just become sexting with benefits because y'all are actually really connecting. Now, if it turns into that's all y'all do is sext because the conversation is becoming dull or boring and y'all haven't met each other in forever, then there might be a problem. But as long as the relationship keeps progressing, then don't trip. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Some of y'all women get really caught up in these judgments of yourself. And I think it's because people who don't really have a lot to offer a relationship tell you that the reason why they're in the position they're in is because they let somebody smash. Oh, well, I let the dude smash and then he never called me again. It's not because y'all had sex, unless it was just like really horrible or something like that maybe, but it's not because y'all had sex. It's because y'all didn't have anything else. That's why. So that's what you got to work on. Build on the relationship. Don't try to be like, oh, I'm going to hold back some stuff. That doesn't really work. Okay, should I take a man seriously who says I have a total and complete access to his home? I can come by his home anytime, no need to call first. I mean, just take that on his face. If you ever need to come by, just come by. I mean, that he could be cheating somewhere else, so that doesn't really mean anything. But I look at relationships like this. If you're gonna get in a relationship with anybody, you gotta give people the benefit of the doubt, which means you're gonna get burned sometimes, which means you're gonna take L's. But you have to give people the benefit of the doubt. Because if you don't give people the benefit of the doubt, you can't have a fun relationship. You can't enjoy yourself. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like if you go into a situation talking about, man, I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose. Your ass is going to lose. And then you come out of it talking about, man, see, I knew I was going to lose. Yeah. What do you expect? It becomes like, I see a lot of people doing this where it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, they'll sit there and go, oh man, you know, I don't know if I could trust these women. I don't know if I could trust these men. Well, if you have no trust for anybody, if you never take things on their face, then what do you expect? Obviously, you're not going to be in a situation where the relationship is going to go the way you want it to, because the fact that you don't trust, the fact that you don't believe shows a lack of confidence in yourself. If I'm dealing with you, I'm assuming that you actually like me. I feel like I'm dope and you actually like me. You got to prove to me otherwise. Otherwise, I'm not going to believe that. I refuse to just come into a situation believing that the person doesn't like me, believing that the person has negative motives. I don't buy that. I don't do that. If you do that, then of course you're not going to have success. Because that's where the desperation starts to kick in. So if somebody does any gesture, I always take it on his face. Hey, sound good. Cool. It doesn't mean any more. It doesn't mean any less. I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying the relationship for what it is. Where are we going? What are we doing today? All right, let's try to get this up, man. Let's I know some people on here. Let's try to hit this super chat a little bit more. And also hit these like buttons. People who, if you ain't hit the like button, hit that like button. I'm going to be on for like 15 more minutes for people who want to ask anything. Make sure y'all hit that super chat. Appreciate the people who already have. Those who haven't, support the chat, bro. Show your support to the cause. I'm on here trying to drop some little gems for y'all. Giving you the game that most people wouldn't even give you, you know, because a lot of dudes out here either player hating or just trying to smash. And I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge. You can't be mad at somebody for what they want and what they want to accomplish. I see a lot of guys that'll say, man, don't you hate these simps? Don't you hate these guys that's out here just telling women what they want to hear? No, I don't hate somebody who's hating. I don't hate somebody telling people what they want to hear. Everybody has a place in this world. And you hear what you want to hear. And you take in what you want to take in. You see what I'm saying? That's real stuff. You take in what you want to take in. Most people are going to gravitate to something that says you're 100% right and this other person is 100% wrong. You can't blame somebody for doing what you wanted and giving you what you wanted to hear. It's like with the boy, what's his name? Derek Jackson. Man, you'd be surprised. You probably wouldn't be surprised at how many dudes would come to me and be like, man, F Derek Jackson, go in on this dude, talk about how bad of a person he is. He's trash. This is before he even got caught up in that whole thing. And people were constantly telling me that, man. I'm like, why are you mad? Because people would send me videos where he would say certain stuff. I'm like, why are you mad? You telling me your girl sent you this video of Derek Jackson talk about men ain't shit. You're mad at Derek Jackson because your girl watched the video and applied that to you. You gotta let that sink in. He didn't say Jeffrey ain't shit. He said a man, and he gave a description, and your girl applied that description to you. I look at the same thing with Kevin Samuels. He says what he says. If somebody applies that description to you, why are you mad at Kevin Samuels? He doesn't know you. If you went on the show and he talked about you, well, then you went on the show. So, you know, you ain't got no reason to be mad if you already knew what he was going to do and you went on the show. If somebody, you're mad at people, and this is what I don't understand about people. You get mad at somebody because somebody else applies what they think and what they say to you. If you're going to be mad at somebody, you should be mad at yourself if you have these characteristics that you don't like. Or you should be mad at the person who's talking about, hey, these apply to you, when you don't feel like they do. If you're in a relationship with somebody and they know you and they saying you ain't shit, and this is this person telling me you ain't shit, it ain't them saying it. They're applying it to you. So, you got to take it for what it is. A lot of guys, especially, don't want to keep it real. Like, maybe you are a good dude and your girl don't appreciate you. I don't know you. I can't say. But your girl watched the video and applied it to you. Derek Jackson didn't come to your crib and say, Alfonso, you ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? So what are you mad at? I'm opening because consultations back up because they fill up really fast. People ask me about these consultations all the time. I'm opening them back up, and they are open on like a private basis right now. But I'm gonna put them back on the site. But they really they fill up really quick. So that's kind of the thing. So like if I wouldn't even be able to if I let everybody, and I try to, I really do. But if I let everybody get consultations as much as they wanted to, I wouldn't even be able to do anything else. That would be all I would do all day. I would just be doing consultations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's the only way I would be able to hit everybody. So it's just not even possible. That's why I try to do stuff like live streams and stuff like that. I know people need extra help and stuff like that, and I try to hit y'all as much as I can. But, like I said, I'll open them up, but, I won't be able to get everybody. So don't try to be mad at your boy, because some people used to get mad. They get on there like, what? It's all filled up already? I mean, I just tried to get on here yesterday. I'm like, what do you want me to say? You're booked up that far? What do you want me to say? I'm doing the best I can. I'm only one person. I'm not like the Psychic Friends Network, where they have like 50 people answering the phones. I'm not that. So I'm only the one dude. I don't have other people answer your questions or nothing like that. I feel like that's dirty. I feel like that's shady. Like if you type in something like that, I have somebody else trying to give you some type of answer. I feel like that's dirty because you asked Chazz. You probably didn't ask them, All right, let's see. Let's try to get this up. Let's try to get a couple more dollars on this super chat before I roll out. All right. Show some love if you haven't already. Also, hit some more likes. If you have not liked, like. Can a toxic man ever have a happy, healthy relationship? I mean, what does it mean if he's toxic? Like, toxic by whose standards? We gotta, a lot of times we use these words. They're so overused. They become cliches to the point where they don't mean a whole lot. Where somebody say, well, can a toxic man ever have a happy relationship? I mean, they may be toxic by your standards and not toxic by another person's standards. So it may be happy to them. They might have a happy relationship with somebody else. There's somebody out there that might like what they do. This was one, only smash if you want, and it's based on your present situation. Men are not responsible for what you do with your body. That's true. A lot of times, I see this with a lot of ladies where you'll smash a dude and then all of a sudden now you feel like y'all supposed to have a relationship and he's a fuck boy if he doesn't do it. That's not really how it works. Relationships work on the timeline of both people. All right, both people got to be involved. Just like you may have had a timeline for when you would let somebody smash. He got a timeline for when he wants to be in a relationship. You can't say, oh, well, you're really cute and you're really cool and I really want to be with you, so I'm going to let you hit and now let's get a relationship going. It doesn't really work like that. Whatever you do, you got to understand the fact that both people have a right to make their choices. Just like if you don't let dude smash quick and he decides that he doesn't want to be in a relationship with you anymore, that's his right. If he says, hey, I'm on to the next, that's his right. So you got to understand that concept. It may suck. It may sound messed up, but that's just the way it goes. Any choices you make, you are responsible for those choices. 100% responsible. And you can't tell somebody else what to want. You know, we get a lot of this, you know, people trying to say people are different things. Oh, you know, this person is a fuck boy. This person is a narcissist because they don't want what you want. But you got to understand, a person has a right to want whatever they want. They have a right to have their own dating strategy and try to get what they actually want to get from a dating situation. Just because it doesn't suit you doesn't make them a bad person. I know that some of y'all probably don't want to hear that, but that's the way it is. You know, that's real. You know, if you try to keep doing that over and over again, oh, he didn't give me what he wants, he's a narcissist. He didn't give me what I want, he's a bad person. If you keep trying to do that over and over again, you're just going to be miserable in every relationship. Chazz, your thoughts on prenuptial agreements and long distance relationships? Wow, that's two things. Prenuptial agreements, it depends on the person. I think prenuptial agreements should really be mandatory though, and here's why. Here's why I say that. It's not because I think that all women or all men or anybody is out to get anyone. I think the problem with not having prenuptial agreements is people are really fake with each other. A person will get in a relationship with somebody and say they got a big house, a nice car, a lot of land, they got money in the bank account, and they'll try to come in to the relationship like, oh, this is ours and we're sharing everything and blah. Then they'll get divorced and they're like, yo, this is mine, you know, you leave with what you came with and this type of stuff, right? And I think when people do that, it becomes unfair and disrespectful. You see what I'm saying? It becomes disrespectful and it becomes unfair. Because a person gets into a relationship and they're thinking, hey, you said this was both of ours and all this kind of stuff. Now, you know, you tripping. Or, excuse me. Or a person will get into a situation where they say, I'm not in it for the money. But then when a breakup happens, now they want half of the money. They want child support. They want alimony. They want all this other stuff. So it becomes a situation where it's like, wait a minute. You said you weren't in it for the money. What does that really mean? Yeah, I wasn't in it for the money, but I still want some money. So I think that's the thing with prenups. I think that they should be mandatory because it really just tells upfront on paper what both people expect if there was ever a breakup. I think that often people say, oh, well, that's how you mess up a relationship. That's starting off a relationship on the wrong foot. I disagree. That tells you what a relationship really is. That tells you what you both really think and what you both really want. That tells what's actually important. And it gets all the fakeness out of the way. It also creates something. I think when people have children too, I think when you have a kid, what you want to do is when you guys are in that hospital, but maybe even before the kid is born, write up a paper that says, hey, if we break up, this will happen. Do this before you get your feelings involved, before you're mad at each other, before there's any anger or frustration. Because that's the default. That's what you actually would have wanted to do. When you get in your emotions and you're going to try to justify what you want to do, you're going to be like, oh, well, you know, this person isn't fit to be around their kid because they cheated on me, which means they're abusive. I mean, you know, you're going to be on some fake shit. So take that ability away from yourself by getting the paperwork right up front. If you get that paperwork right up front, then you do the right thing with that. And the right thing is basically doing what's best for you and your family, not just whatever you need to do to get revenge. I'll try to go with Lulu. I'll try to go into those interpersonal skills a little bit. As far as long distance relationships, close the distance as fast as possible. That's the biggest thing I can say about that. They can be cool, especially for women. Men, I would never suggest you get into a long distance relationship. We're different. Men and women are different. For women, it's cool because it actually gets you closer to the person where you can build a spiritual connection before you even do anything. And if the dude is willing to get into a long distance relationship with you, 99 times out of 100, he's really head over heels about being with you. But I would close the distance as fast as possible because otherwise that dude gonna start smashing some other people unless he just doesn't have the option. You feel what I'm saying? So I do agree with long distance relationships for women for a short period of time. Guys, I would say never get into one because 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to end up in the friend zone from that, just to keep it real. Okay, with interpersonal relationship skills, this is going to be hard. I can't do this in one little live stream, but this is something that people really don't spend much time developing. As far as they'll get into their careers and they'll spend a lot of time like money management and all this kind of stuff, but not developing interpersonal skills. And this is a sad situation because you can get all the money in the world and you lose it because you don't have those skills. You don't really know how to connect with people. You don't really know how to make good decisions about what type of people you're around. You ever see these shows like 90 Day Fiance and stuff like that where this person will have money and then they'll get with somebody from like some other country or whatever that doesn't even really like them? Y'all ever watch 90 Day Fiance? They'll get with this person that doesn't even like them and then they'll mess up all their financial situation. This often happens because what you didn't develop was the ability to, and these are some interpersonal skills that I kind of really try my best to develop as much as possible. Discernment, conflict resolution, connecting, like the ability to emotionally connect with another person and figure out what they're going through and what you're going through and be able to transmit that information. That is extremely important. With discernment, just figuring out whether or not a person is actually somebody who you can make a connection with. Like, do we even have the foundation to like each other? Could this even be a real relationship? Those type of things. Like these are when you develop your interpersonal skills, these are some of the things you got to do. Conflict resolution is extremely important just because if you don't have the ability to resolve conflicts in a peaceful, productive manner, you're not going to be able to develop any of your relationships, personal relationships, romantic relationships, business relationships. Whenever a conflict comes along, they're going to fall apart. The reason why you don't notice that a lot of times in business is because you just move from one company to another, one department to another, or you just stop talking to somebody in the office. But ultimately, that will rear its ugly head. The same things that keep you from dating and developing good dating relationships, they're going to be the same things that are going to stop you from building business relationships in the long term. They're going to be the same things that will stop you from getting everything you want out of your career. Because at some point, it becomes a one-on-one relationship with somebody. And if you're not able to develop those relationships, if you're not able to resolve conflicts, if you don't have discernment, if you're not able to connect with people, at some point, those things are going to rear their ugly head. And there's other stuff that I would also, but I'm going to try to lean into those just because I don't have a ridiculous amount of time. But those are going to be the things that will rear their ugly heads, even in business. Over and over and over again, they'll rear their ugly heads. And you'll find yourself at some point, maybe you get to a certain point in your career, and then it becomes about personal relationships. And that's when you're going to think sexism, racism, religion, whatever, because you're going to struggle to get that personal relationship with those people. That's what's going to happen at some point. And this happens in your family relationships. This happens in all kinds of things. At some point, you have to deal with conflict resolution. Also, a part of discernment is knowing when to cut a relationship loose. This is why you see a lot of people in abusive relationships. This is why you see a lot of people in relationships that are completely one-sided, because they don't have discernment. They don't know when the relationship needs to be cut loose. Some of you have relationships with family members that have been terrible for the last 10, 15 years, but you still talk to this family member every single day. You let this person eviscerate you on a daily basis because you don't have a discernment. You don't understand the fact that that relationship can never work. So you don't know to get rid of that relationship and move on to the next one. I know people who are older who will let their kids abuse them because they don't have discernment. They don't realize just because this is your kid does not mean a relationship will ever work with that person. I'm just being real with you. You may have a kid and you got a grown ass kid who doesn't freaking like you, and they never will. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times they never will like you. And it's not going to change, but you don't have discernment. And when you talk about emotional connection, a lot of times what people struggle with is understanding what other people are going through and being able to communicate what they're going through to other people. So you deal with a person and everything is judged on what you feel and what you think and what you want. You don't even care about or even think about what they want. This is something that you struggle with if you're a salesperson. Have you ever seen a bad salesperson where basically they only talk about what they want? You ever see somebody at a job interview where all they talk about is what they want? Well, guess what? That's something that you might be struggling with in personal relationships that may be causing you not to be in a situation where you can really connect with anyone because you don't know what they want. And just to talk about those particular areas, one of the better ways to work on discernment is just to look at relationships and say, just a pro and con. What am I giving to this relationship? That's what's up. The Business of Relationship Masterclass. That's actually, if I may say so myself, I feel like it's a really good one. I talk about business and relationships a lot of times because they're all in one. If you ever sold anything before, and I'm going to get back into this relationships thing, this interpersonal skills thing. But if you've ever sold anything before, what you'll realize is it's all about relationships. More so than even what you're selling, it's about the relationship that you build with the customer. Well, that's any business that you get into. Your skills will take you to a certain level. This goes back to pretty privilege. What you look like and all that stuff will take you to a certain level. But at some point in time, you're going to have to lean into your interpersonal skills. If you're not able to do that, you're going to find yourself out in the cold at some point in time. So as I was saying before, if you want to build discernment, what you start doing is you start taking your relationships and just like do a 2-column system, pros and cons. What I'm giving and what this person is giving. And be real about it. Like, don't try to just put stuff down that you think is high dollar or whatever. If this person is a shoulder for you to cry on, write that down on the list. If this person picked you up from work, don't be like, I could have drove myself. No, they picked you up. Start doing that and start looking at relationships and saying, do I get more from this relationship or do I lose more from it? Do I give more or do I gain more? Or is it somewhat close? It's probably not going to be 50-50, but ask yourself the question, is this relationship worth it? That's going to help you a lot with your discernment. Connecting with other people is going to be about trying to figure out where somebody else is coming from so that you can explain your situation to them in a way that they will actually care about. You ever wonder why you tell somebody about your problems or you tell somebody about what you're going through and they don't give a damn? Sometimes it's because they just don't give a damn. But sometimes it's because everything is through the lens of what you see and what you care about. And that's all you ever talk about. And that's all you ever think about is what you care about. And you think that that's what the whole world is. And for that reason, sometimes you find yourself out in the cold because a person is like, yeah, I get it. But all you care about is your situation and what you think and what you're going through. So if you want to do a better job with connecting with people, really start thinking about stuff Like, go back to moments that you had with people, arguments, conflicts. Go back to these types of moments and start thinking about some of the things that you did to contribute to those situations. It doesn't even have to be a relationship situation. It could be something where you got in an argument in a line at McDonald's. Ask yourself, what did I do to contribute to this situation? You know, what did I do here? Also, ask yourself about what traumas other people could have going into life. You see what I'm saying? Like, people have multiple traumas that they've been dealing with, but sometimes we only focus on our own. Like, oh, well, this triggers me because of this. Well, damn, you think that they don't have anything that triggers them? You think they don't have anything that they may have been through that you're reminding them of with your behavior and your actions? Give that more thought. That'll also help you with conflict resolution. When you're talking about conflict resolution, the first thing you want to do is try to figure out where someone else is coming from. Actually use active listening skills. You would be surprised how often just listening to somebody will help you to resolve a conflict. Not listening to rebut, but actually listening to figure out where they're coming from. And then asking questions that help that person to give you more information. So if somebody's sitting there going, well, this happened and that happened, and I feel like you don't care about me. I feel like you're disrespectful to me and all this stuff. Instead of just going, I'm not disrespectful to you, ask more questions. Listen first and see if they tell you why they think you're disrespectful. And if they don't tell you why, say, well, what did I do exactly? Can you give me a specific example of what happened here that you could kind of, you know, because I'm really trying to figure out exactly how I can do better. And sometimes if you do that and you don't immediately come back and try to tell them something bad about themselves and they see some level of change, you'll be surprised how often you can come to that person and then tell them what they need to do. You'd be surprised. Some people just want people to change for them, but they won't acknowledge anything they're doing. And if somebody brings it up, they get all emotional and angry and upset. And then the person never brings up anything again. So now that gives them the ability to say, yeah, I didn't do anything wrong in the relationship. They'll tell you to this day I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, of course they'll say that because they know you go off on them or you start crying or cussing them out if they said anything. You feel me? So these are just some things that you can do as far as your interpersonal skills to help you start dealing with people a little bit better. There's some more things that I'll probably go into on another stream or something like that too. All right. If you want to show some love to the live stream, I got a couple more minutes to do it. You know, hit that super chat. Also, if you want to ask a quick question and before I get up off of here, also hit me with a sticker. And press the like button. Keep them likes going. Keep them going. Oh yeah, but before I go, y'all tell me what y'all want the next Chazz Ellis Raw to be about. This will be on the Guide channel. Also, y'all know I'm gonna be on Ask Chazz Ellis. I'm going to be on there Friday. That's tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God willing and the creek don't rise. I'll be there. All right, let me search through a little bit. Yo, show some love to the chat before I get up off of here. Appreciate everybody who already did. Keep the love coming so these chats so I can keep doing these lives. You know what I'm saying? If people show love and show their appreciation, just like anything you like in life, if you want to keep it going, gotta show love. You feel me? We appreciate the kind that jingles, but we rather get the kind that folds. Anybody remember what movie that's from? I don't know if y'all are y'all movie people? Do y'all watch movies? That's an iconic joint right there. give y'all a hint though. Eddie Murphy was in the movie. Somebody already Cosmo. You already had it. Coming to America. That was when they were at the Black Awareness rally, and she said that she was like, "We appreciate the kind of jiggles, but we'd rather get the kind of foes." Mr. Jackson Heights' own Mr. Randy Watson. Because the greatest love of all is inside of me, yeah. I see you continue. Yep, that Coming to America. Did y'all see Coming to America too? He said, "Oh, he don't want no chicken." Thank you, Lulu. Chazz don't want no chicken bones. I thought it was a trash. Ain't nobody ever gave me nothing. Did y'all like Coming to America too? Did anybody see it? It was on Amazon Prime. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I don't like a lot of remakes because sometimes they're funny, but it's like, yo, just make a standalone movie, because what you do with the movies, like when you try to do remakes of these 80s and 70s and 90s classics and stuff like that, is the climate of the world has changed so much. I feel like a lot of times what happens with the movies, they try to put a political message in there that lines up with today's climate. Yeah, I didn't feel like it was this movie. The movie was as good as the first. Because especially when you do a movie that's that good, it's almost impossible to make a movie that's gonna add up to the first one, especially 30 years later, almost 40 years later now, 30 and some change later. It's almost impossible to make a movie that's gonna be as good as that first one, especially because the world changes. And you could see a lot of that in the movie. You could see a lot of the changes and some of the political messages that needed to be made in the movie. It made the movie really predictable, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Now, there was a lot of funny comedians in it. I thought the movie was actually funny, but like I said, I think it would have been funny as a standalone movie. Obviously, it wouldn't have got as much attention, but I don't like a lot of remakes or a lot of part twos, if you will. I don't like stuff like that. Yeah, it was a continuation, not a remake. I should definitely say that. I don't like that type of thing, because a lot of times what happens is so much time has passed that when you try to pick up where you left off in the old movie, or you try to pick up somewhere down the road, the climate of the world has changed. And the jokes that somebody liked in the first movie, they just don't even exist. Yeah, like 33 years later, you got a different world in front of you. So the climate of the world changes, and now some of the jokes that you were able to do back in those days, you can't do anymore. So it waters the movie down. Now you just try to put a lot of celebrities and funny people in there, and it becomes like a lot of one-liners, but the story is kind of lost. And that's what I thought about the movie. I thought it was funny, but I thought a lot of the story was lost. Where it's like, okay, what is this movie actually about now? You know, we saw with Coming to America, the first Coming to America, here's what it was about. Now this one is like, it's trying to be about 10 million things at once. I like Wesley Snipes too. I like Wesley. I thought he was dope. I like Leslie Jones. I like Wesley Snipes. I don't know about the dude that came in and played Akeem's son. I don't remember what that dude's name was, but he seemed okay. But I thought they probably could have. I heard they were going to go with Brandon T. Jones, and then for whatever reason he didn't want to do it. But you know, I thought it's like I said, it's an okay movie. I'm not really one much for remakes. I'm not really one for I'm not really one for these continuation, these part twos like 20 years later. Every once in a while it works out. Most of the time it doesn't. That one I thought was okay. There's been a lot of them that I thought were worse. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like this dude. I didn't like it either. And the movie the movie was based on dude. I didn't even like. I'm gonna be real with you. It was so much about that movie I wasn't feeling. I thought it was one of those movies where they try to do like the tacked on message thing. Like, oh, you know, his daughter's gonna become the princess of Zamunda. I'm like, okay, we get it. You try to do like a female power message, but you're just tacking it on to a movie like just because that's what's popping right now. You didn't make it to where it really made sense inside the movie. Stuff got to make sense to me. I don't like it. It's like, as a black person, I always hate it when they like try to just throw a black dude in the movie. You know what I mean? Like when you could tell you're like, he had no reason in this movie. You just wanted to make a black just to do it. Y'all, since we just talking for a second, I'm gonna give y'all a cinema thing that I hate, and I want y'all, anybody who watches like any kind of sci-fi movies, I want y'all to look at this one day. Have you ever noticed whenever they do a movie about like time travel or any type of science type of stuff, where it's a group of people, the black dude or the black girl is always there by accident? I'm just throwing that out there. And I'm not a racial conspiracy theorist by any means. But it's something that I've noticed. Think about Ghostbusters, if you guys ever watched Ghostbusters. The black dude is basically like, he's the only one that's not a scientist. Where you're like, really? How many times like do you see where these movies are like time travel or something like that? The black dude's like a janitor who just got sucked into a portal or something like that. You're like, damn. You know, that always throws me a little bit. I'm like, damn. But anyway, you know, that's just something that I've noticed over the years. That's why I don't really like tacked on messages. I don't like shoehorn characters. I don't like period pieces where it'll be about some stuff that happened in the 1400s and then they're just like totally different personalities that go along with today's society. I never really liked that because it just seems lame. Anyway, all right. Appreciate you guys. I'm gonna get out of here. We done got into movies and all this kind of stuff. But you know, I appreciate everybody who came out. Make sure you go to the next one. It's gonna be Friday at 8:00 Eastern Standard Time. Also, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't, because I'm gonna be doing these Raws on this channel also. And subscribe to some of my other channels because I'm gonna be putting more stuff on them. Also, y'all better get on this TikTok, because I'm about to start putting all kind of stuff on TikTok. I am Chazz Ellis on TikTok, just like it is on Instagram. You say my live went out? I don't know. Did it? I think I'm still on here. All right, but y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe to this channel, and also hit me up on Instagram and TikTok. Damn. Instagram and TikTok. I am Chazz Ellis. Peace. What's up, Lady Marie? You came in kind of late, but we getting off now. Make sure you get on here tomorrow.